Hello everyone, my name is Tosavanta. I'm going to speak about Neolithic stone tool technology of India. So let us start with what is first Neolithic. So Neolithic is a culture that is comes after Mesolithic. This is basically a Holocene culture. It started with the Stone Age culture of the New Stone Age culture, the beginning of Holocene about 10,000 before. So Neolithic means the new Stone Age. Neo means the new, and the lithic means stone. Okay, that's why this is called the Neolithic. And this culture was first coined by Sir John Lubbock in 1865. So what is also important about this Neolithic culture is this is also a beginning of a new adaptation to the climate. Okay, adaptation to a new climate, and this is also the transition from the Paleolithic hunter-gatherer to this sedentary Neolithic life age or the sedentary lifestyle. So this can be considered as the most significant behavioral changes in the human history. Okay, and then what also we see in the case of the Neolithic is also this is also called as the Neolithic revolution. So when the hunter-gatherer they started doing the domestication of the plants or the animals. Okay, so in that time also they are laying the foundation for the development of the complex urban societies, or what is also we call as the the father of our the modern world. Okay, so as I said, because of the domestication of the plants and animals, so the Neolithic uh, time period we develop close contact with the animals. For example, the animals like the sheep, goat, uh, cow, pig, and several plants, and the edible plants and the crops were there domesticated. Okay, beside this, the Neolithic also do suggest what is also the start of agriculture. Okay, the full-fledged agriculture was started. Pastoralism was become more prominent in the different part of the country, but it's a more popular in the case of the southern Indian Neolithic sites. So the people started staying in the sedentary life. They started making houses. They started staying particularly in the permanent houses. Ceramic for the first time came in use. Okay, the pottery and different types of the handmade pottery were started appearing during this time period. And what is also most important is the major breakthrough in the Stone Age tools and technology. So what kind of stone tool technology that we see that we are going to talk in the succeeding slides. So what is also important here is the finding of the grinding or the polishing stone tool. Okay, particularly the finding of the axe, and then what? Then they started doing the polish it. Because of that, what is the durability of the stone was continue for a longer time period. So the stone tools are designed for cutting wood or the clearing forest, as well as also several uh, the woodworking. So this is the visuals of the domestications, and then the crops. Okay, the different type of crops. So the particular the cereals like rice, wheat, barley. These are where they are cultivated. Okay, in the domestication of the animals. Okay, horse was not domesticated during the Neolithic. It was domesticated quite a later time period. This is a reconstruction of the Neolithic village, and these are the type of houses that we may encounter in the case of the early Neolithic settlement. Now coming to the Indian Neolithic culture. So the Indian Neolithic can be divided into the different cultural zones or the different eco zone. So what is important here is that India is not a country; it's a subcontinent. Okay, so that's why we do have a lot of different climatic ecozones are there, and accordingly there are different Neolithic cultures has been developed in the different areas. So in the case of India, there are particularly can be six zones, but different scholars have divided it into the different uh, areas. So, for example, like the North India, the Vindhyan region, the Southern India, the Middle Ganga Valley, Mid Eastern region, particularly like the state of Odisha, Chhattisgarh. Then here the northeastern region. Okay, all the states of northeast, for example, like the Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh. So then coming to the Neolithic technology. Okay, so what is important here in the case of the Indian Neolithic technology is, so this is one of the aspect that is really neglected. I mean to say, like we know very little about the Neolithic technology. You don't find really much papers on the particularly the focused on the technological aspect of the Neolithic stone tool. Also, we do have abundant. There are different sites has also been excavated, but not much has been focused particularly on the lithic technology. So, what is common in the case of most of the Neolithic sites in India is they quarried particularly the dolerite dike. Okay, and then what kind of the dolerite dikes are found in the forms of outcrops or in the form of river cobbles or pebbles or in the form of dike. Okay, then what kind of uh, nodules are there mostly utilized? That is, they have utilized the blocks, slabs, or could be the natural cobbles. Then there are different stages for making the Neolithic axes. So what they used to do is, first they used to break the cores or the natural boulders or the outcrops into suitable sizes. Then what they used to do is, from the core they used to remove the flakes. Okay, the flakes were removed so they can make the axe or the edge or any type of tools they want to make on a particular flake. Then very often also what we do find is sometimes the cores where they are napped and then they also reduced to a suitable X shapes or size. Then what also we do find about the large flake is, so the large flake technique is again reinvented during the Neolithic time period. And also not only the large flake but also the bifacial technology which was very common in the Assyrian time period, the lower Paleolithic time period was again reinvented. And then what we do find here is that the large flakes are removed from the core and then the flakes are there torn into the blanks or the preform for making the different eggs or the other type of tools. Often what also has been seen is they also do split the large flakes into two pieces and then the both pieces are torn into the eggs. Now the next stage after making it like the blanks or the kind of uh, the unfinished egg shaped tools, what they do is they started doing the chipping or the micro chipping. So what is the use or the use of chipping here is, or the micro chipping here is, that they need to make the different shape. Okay, so the shape need to be given properly. So that's why the small flakes were removed or the tiny retouchings were done in the case of the Neolithic this axis. Okay, and then the final stage which is most important in the Neolithic is that is the grinding or polishing. Also people they call it the packing or the grinding. So why it's called packing? So in the case of what the ridges are developed in the excess or like in the free form. So what they do is they do hammer it. Okay, so that is called packing. and so this that will save the time for grinding. Neither you will be grinding only the edges for longer time period. Okay, so that's why they used to beat the edges, so then you can uh, use the grinding, or the polishing can be done very easily. So the polishing were achieved abrading on, like, the different type of core stone, that could be granite or could be any core stone, or the on the sandstone, so that can be polished very easily. Now coming to the type of stone that were used for making the Neolithic axe or the Neolithic tools. Okay, so mostly dolomite has been prepared in the different areas, but what they have also, like, found is in some areas basalt has been used, granite is also used, and also the limestone. For example, like, I was working in Chhattisgarh, and there is one site where I found the limestones were used for making the Neolithic axes and chisels. Now coming to the grinding technology. So what is this grinding technology? It's basically making the polishing. Okay, so you have to grind the edges. Okay, so why they do use the grinding is because to make the tool what sharp, actually also, like, polished, so it would be easy to what hold, or easy to place in the hand. Okay, so these policies were the polishing were achieved after grinding for longer time period. So they used to use sand in between, or mostly also they use water in the time of grinding, so that can be easily this stone tool can be polished. Okay, and then they sometimes they look the glazed color after the polishing. Now coming to the Neolithic sites of Odisha. So in Odisha, there are few excavated Neolithic sites are there. For example, like, the Kuchai, which was excavated by B.K. Thapar in 1964, and then later on the Golwaisa stone was excavated by Sinha in the 1990s. So what is here important is the findings of the manufacturing sites as well as the habitation site. So in the case of uh, if look into the Sundergarh area, so there is one site called Sulabhdihi, where there are plenty, or like a tremendous amount of Neolithic uh, habitats has been seen. So this is showing you the view of the habitats of the site called Sulabhdihi. So the site was excavated by Professor P.K. Behra from Sambalpur University, and then he did notice the different types of the manufacturing areas, or the different activity area, and he considered as the major manufacturing units as well as the minor manufacturing units, and he considered the major manufacturing units were meant for exporting the Neolithic cell to the different areas or in the surrounding areas from the site. Okay, and then what is the minor manufacturing areas, or the debris are sorry, the manufacturing sites are meant for the local use. So this is to show you the close-up of the kind of dolomitic dike used. So what they have did in this area is the dolomite dikes were occupied for making the uh, Neolithic cell, and you do find a lot of the chisels in the site, as well as, like, different type of X over there, different type of axes were there, edge is there, also the kind of bar cell has been there. So bar cell is a kind of tool that we see in the case of Odisha, that is very unusual and not seen in other parts of India. So the bar cells are they're quite big in size, almost like hand size, could be about 20 to 30 centimeter, and probably would be used for the the woodworking, okay, or the cutting the bigger trees. And these are some of the Neolithic sites from Hikudi. So Hikudi is one of the sites that is located in the Sanpur district on the bank of the river Mahanadi. And what we find is this is a habitation site, and this is also well dated site in Mahanadi Valley. And the earliest date goes back to 3800 BC, and then the youngest date from this site is about 1100 BC. So almost this is somehow it is similar dates range of the southern Indian Neolithic. Then this is the Neolithic axe from the site Kuchai, and these are some of the Neolithic axe from the site called Bali Sai from Moirvanj district. And these are coming to the Sulabhdihi Neolithic axe. So what you find here is that there are different size of the Neolithic axe are found in the case of the Sulabhdihi. So there are different manufacturing evidences are there. Okay, so these are the chisels from the minor workshop and also from the major workshop. Okay, so here what do find is mostly we do find the three type of salt, that is the axe, edge and chisels. Then there are on the basis of the manufacturing techniques and the morphology. So Dr. Piklihal, he divided into the different categories. The first category he said it is the flaked and the chipped category. Okay, the flake and the chipped one. So whatever, like you see a lot of the chipping are there in the case of this side. And the second one is the partially chipped and ground the axe or chisels. Okay, so those are what we do see, partially chipped and the ground. And the next one is it fully ground and the polished axe. Okay, so then what we do also have the fully ground and the polished one also has been found in the case of the sites in Sulabhdihi area. This is also kind of the finished one. Okay, so I visited recently, particularly just few months back, to this site, and what you see here, look at the amount of debris. So this a tree was uprooted because of the kind of wind in that area. And then what you see, the debris is all these debris is what? These are the Neolithic manufacturing debris with thousands of artifacts. Then this is still, like this Munda community, they are still habitating that area, and this is the kind of the hut they still do use. So this is basically very similar to the kind of the temporary huts that we do find in the case of the also Paleolithic. So the people still continue using this type of huts close to their houses. Then coming to the Neolithic sites in southern India. So as you know that the southern Indian Neolithic sites is very popular, and then this is also one of the areas which a lot of sites has been discovered and then well studied and well excavated. And the history of the Neolithic discoveries in this South India goes back to 1842, when the Meadows Taylor he reported some of the Neolithic axes, and later on also Robert Brucewood he worked on this area, then Wheeler worked on this area, and then Sankalia, and then large number of scholars work on the southern Indian Neolithic time to time. So these are the important sites, particularly the Brhmagiri, Sangankalhu, Takkalkotta, Narsipur, Kupgal in the Bellari district, then the Piklihal, Maski in the Raichur, Hallur in the Dharwad, Hemmige in Mysore district, Terdal in Bijapur, and Kodekal in Gulbarga, as well as also the Utnur in the Mehbubnagar district, and the Nagarjunakonda in the Guntur, as well as if you come to the Tamil Nadu, the Piyampalli in the North Arcot district is also well known. So then coming to the Neolithic Axe technology of southern India. So what do we find here is we find the different Neolithic industrial sites are there. For example, like the Sangankalhu, the Kupgal, is one of the area, and then in the same area there is one the Hireguda is there. So this site is been well studied by Broom et al. Professor Korisetter was there in that whole project, the project Muse, and then they studied the Neolithic assemblage. So this is showing you the deposit of the Neolithic manufacturing debris here, and then these are what? These are the abrader, or like the Neolithic axes were polisher, the polisher. This is also called as the polisher. So what they did here is there are different methods are there, and then the Broom et al. They suggested three methods. The first method, they said the block base, or the large blocks are they are reduced into the small pieces, and then what they did, these dolerite blocks are turned into the bifacially flake axes. So first, what from the blocks they use the hard hammer technique, and then these are the kind of the bifacial dropouts are made. Then the second stage, this is the early stage of the biface where they made the triangular shape, and then the next stage, what the late stage is like then they turn it to in the almost the pre-form of a Neolithic X, and then finally what they did is the edge of the axes were they are ground. Now the second method is what? The second method is slab based. So the mostly what the slab based is in the naturally you do find the dolerite slab. Okay, the dolerite slabs are there, and then the slabs are turned into the bifacially flaked X blank. Okay, the blanks are made for making the turning the slab. So it's actually very easy turning the slab. Slab is basically very thinner, okay, and then it's easy to work out on the slab. And then the third method, that is the flake based. Okay, so they make the eggs from a amorphous flake, or it could be also the from a debitage, or could be any non-flake, okay, who is maybe could be doesn't have any bulb in that area, and then they turn into a bifacially retouched X blank, and then finally they polished it or they grind it. So this is what about the Neolithic X production in the case of the Sangankalhu Kupgal or the Hireguda site. Okay, so and then there is this is the method third, where the dolerite blank made on the amorphous flake or pieces of the non-flake debitage. So this is showing you the visuals of the drawings of the different stages of the Neolithic Axe. Okay, and then what, the edge were ground. Okay, the edge of um, the southern Indian Neolithic is mostly what we do find the edge were ground, because and then these surface were semi ground or semi finished, because you really don't need to polish properly this area, because that can be hefted or can be handled, and then they can be used. Okay, so maybe for the proper grip they are also not polishing the bottom side. So then this is the site Hireguda. This is the general view of the site Hireguda, and then this is the quarry area of the Hireguda, and then this is showing you the density of the Neolithic debitage. Okay, so the Neolithic debitage is about a meter again in this area. Okay, about 50 to 80 centimeter, and then these are what? These are the reminiscences of the grinding surface for the eggs. So the axes were ground, so that's how the multiple axes were ground in this area, and then these are the marks over the outcrop. The granitic outcrops are used for grinding. Okay, so that's what the evidences here. Then this is this. So I was talking about the slab technique, and this in the slab technique, this is a slab. The stage one, this is the stage two. The blank were made, and then the stage three. Okay, And then this is the stage 4. So the polished one were already made on this. And then if you look into the dates of this, it could be about 1400 to 1300 BC. Then the next one is the hafting of the Neolithic axes. So keep in mind during the Neolithic time period, the axes were there hefted, mostly they are hefted. That could be like in the single one. So what they used to do is like they can be hefted on a piece of a shaft, okay, making a perforation inside it, and then putting it or the inserting it within the wooden post, okay. And then the next one is it can be make dual one, okay, or could be in the different other forms. Then coming to the Neolithic culture of northeastern India. So the northeastern India Neolithic is also quite popular. Uh, as like there are a lot of sites that have been reported from Meghalaya, from Assam. The site also being reported from Manipur, Tripura. So what is important about the Meghalaya sites are there. So these are the also finding of the large manufacturing sites in the case of Garo Hill or in the Khasi Hill. And then also the sites are also reported in the Gentia Hills. Then in the Tripura there are sites are there, and then in the case of Tripura the Neolithic Axe are then made on the fossil wood, which is very uncommon. Okay. Then also there are quite a number of sites are also reported by A. Ashraf, late A. Ashrafs from the Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, the Parsi Patlo, there is one site, is very well known and well excavated. And then in Nagaland, Dr. Tiadosi Jamir is working on this Nagaland Neolithic. And then OK Singh, he did work on the Manipur and Mizoram. And obviously, like in Meghalaya, Tichi Sharma, late Tichi Sharma, his daughter, then A. Ashraf, then a lot of people, including me, is working from the sites in Garo Hill. So most of the sites in let us come to the Garo Hill. The sites are found in the river Ganol. Okay, Ganol is one of the major drainage in the case of the West Garo Hill, located it's close to the river, the city Tura, and then its tributary Rongram. So most of the Neolithic sites are found close to the river Ganol or Rongram or its tributary. So the sites are there found on the hilltop, foothill, as well as on the also hill slope area. So what is important here is the site Mismagri. So Mismagri is one of the major manufacturing hub for the Neolithic uh, people of the West Garo Hill, and then we do find large number of manufacturing debris. So the site is spread over about 2 to 3 kilometer, and there are different manufacturing heaps has been found in the different parts of the site. So one of the site I was excavated. Sorry, I took a trial train in that area, and then later on, Dr. Tilak Thakur, he also worked in this site Mismagri, and then brought to light large number of Neolithic artifact. Again, important about this Mismagri site is this is one of the site where we do have large number of eggs are there in the different forms, particularly the different morphology is there, okay, and they are again located close to the dolerite dikes, okay, and then the artifact of the Mismagri has been spread over almost about 3 to 4 kilometer, and the streams are there, and the streams are carrying up to 10-15 kilometer from the upstreams to the downstream. And this is here talking about there is one more site called Chibagre where have the polished Neolithic axes are there, and also the salted cell. So this is the salted cell is one of the important aspect, the important features of the northeastern Neolithic that we really don't see in other parts of the country. But some of the the salted Neolithic axe has been noticed also in case of the Jharkhand and very rarely in Odisha. Then also there is one more site called Edenwari where also the large number of manufacturing rabbits has been noticed, and these are the type of the eggs, the triangular eggs coming from the Edenwari site. Okay, so the eggs can be divided or be classified on the basis of the bud, okay, or on the basis of the edge, okay, and then can be also it can be classified on the basis of the cross section of the tool, okay, or on the basis of their also shape and size. So these are some of the Neolithic salt from again the West Garo hill. These are reported by Dr. Sukanya Sharma, and these are from the site probably Rongram. And this is what I was telling about the salted cell. The salted cell is very common features in the case of the Myanmar or in the Southeast Asia, and then the same traditions is also followed in the case of the Assam sites, Neolithic sites in Assam, as well as also sites in the Garo hill, as well as in the Khasi hill. So this is the Neolithic cells from the Nongtrok. It's a site excavated by I think there is one guy from this Marco Maitri, okay. It was excavated by Marco Maitri, okay. They are also coming to this area. So while doing survey in the Garo Hill, I did find one thing, that is the people are breaking the rocks in a traditional method. So I thought like this could be very useful for this present talk. And so what they are doing is they are breaking the large boulder, the granitic boulders, into the smaller one, okay. And then what the technique they are using? They are putting fire, okay, through thermal fracture. They are breaking the huge boulder into these shapes. So this same method probably also could have been used during the Neolithic time period for breaking the larger boulder for making the Neolithic eggs, or the egg-based industries could have been also flourished with the same technique, but this need verification. Now coming to the another important feature of the Neolithic time period, that is in many of the sites would you also find the ring stones, okay. So the ring stone is a kind of tool that is found. So we found a centrally there is a perforation will be there, and then the boring is done from both side, okay. Most often the boring is done from the both side, okay, by hammering, okay, uh, by packing from one side or maybe from the both side, and then finally you meet a hole, and this can be used as a for breaking the, could be used as a agricultural tool, could be used for making the firing, okay, or could be used as a weight. We really don't know much about the function of the ring stones, but it's too common. We found most of the sites, okay, in Odisha, Jharkhand, as well as so the South Indian sites is also quite common. The next thing is what is also remarkable about the Neolithic sites is the finding of the beads. So the stone beads are first time reported in the Neolithic. So earlier the technology was not known, particularly like making tools on what, making tools on the making the perforation on the stone. So earlier the stone beads were there. In the case of the Upper Paleolithic or Mesolithic, if you look into the Upper Paleolithic context, the Patna site is reported with the ostrich axle beads, okay, and then also you do find in many other sites also the cell beads has been reported commonly, but in the case of Neolithic, the first time the semi-precious stones were perforated, and then the proper beads are made from beginning from the Neolithic. So this is also one of the important aspect of the Neolithic stone tool technology. So in the conclusion, what I say, basalt or the dolerite dike is the most loaded raw material throughout India. Okay, then the Neolithic industries of India is between 7,000 to 1,000 BC, and it's a belong to the pre-Iron Age industry. So what is also important to observe here is that this is the first time when the industrial scale manufacturing of the tools are there. Okay, you don't see industrial scale manufacturing of the stone tools in any preceding Stone Age culture. Then beside this, what also we see, it suggests that the population was rising, so there is a demand for the Neolithic access, so that's why this industries will flourish. Then this, when the industries are out there, obviously the long distance freight were also first time invented. As you also know that the wheel method also is also kind of the invention during the same time period as the Neolithic time period. So the long distance trade could be possible, transporting probably the Neolithic eggs to a long distance areas. Then this is also the period which found the large scale deforestation. Okay, because the agricultural land where people are doing agriculture, so the large scale deforestation was there, and uh, that's why these Neolithic eggs were also become more popular. So the Neolithic tools are both handheld as well as also haptic, so that we can see from the different type of the axes that we observe. Okay, then what also we see here is the absence of the Neolithic in part of Central India or the Western India as well as the parts of North India. If you look into particularly the northwestern India, for example, like the states like Rajasthan or Haryana or Punjab, there is absence of the Neolithic sites. The reason was during the same time period what we see the Harappan culture over there. So already the urban culture was developed in this area, and then also the same thing also seen in the case of the Narmada Valley. Also, you don't see Neolithic sites. Okay, the same thing also in the part of the Maharashtra that you don't observe. So in that case, people from Mesolithic they turn into Chalcolithic. Okay, and then this Neolithic was missing. Then if you look at also the characteristic feature of the South Indian Neolithic and the Eastern Neolithic is very different. So the different ecozones have their different characteristic features in terms of their uh, culture, in terms of their technology, in terms of their also the lithic typology and technology is also quite different. For example, like the South Indian Neolithic eggs and the Neolithic eggs of the Northeast India is quite different. Okay, so that's what about the Neolithic technology of India. Thank you.